Hey, today's question is, how can we learn English successfully? By the way, welcome back to exlenglish.com. My name's David, and this is the follow-up video to how to learn English, going back over the scientific formula for English learning success. We talked about the 10% principle, which is planning. And as you know, to be successful in anything, you need to know where your final destination is, what your objective is. You need a plan to accomplish it or to reach your goal. And then you need some shorter goals so that you can track your progress and stay motivated. So those are the three areas that we're going to cover today. We have a worksheet for each one of those. If you'd like to go ahead and download those now, print them off so that you can follow along as we work through them. If you want to go ahead and let the video load up for a little bit, grab yourself some coffee and a Coke as well, and have a seat so we can chat. That will be great. I'll give you a second to do that. Okay, fantastic. So, you remember that when Alice was in Wonderland, if you read the book or watched the movie, she asked the cat which way she ought to go from here, and the cat said, well, where do you want to go? And she said, I don't know. And so then the cat replied, it doesn't really matter, because anywhere you go will take you somewhere, but since you don't know where you're going, then ultimately it doesn't matter what your destination is. So the first thing you have to do if you want to be successful, to do something successfully, achieve something, reach a goal, is you have to set a goal, obviously. Otherwise, you'll never know if you've been successful or not. You'll just keep going and going and going and going, kind of like the Energizer Bunny, right? Okay, so the first thing we want to do is set that final destination. Kind of like when you get ready to take a trip, you choose your destination first. You don't just go to the airport and buy a ticket. The first thing the agent is going to ask you is where you want to go, and then they'll help you plan the best way to get there, the quickest way to get there, the cheapest way to get there, or whatever your goal is for your vacation time or for that particular trip, right? So obviously the first thing we need to do is help you decide, where you want to end up. So what you really need to realize first is, why do you want to learn English? What are your goals? And what kind of things do you want to accomplish? A lot of students just start studying English, and statistically 95% of English students give up before they reach their goals, according to a book by James Asher called TPR, Learning Another Language Through Actions. And I thought that was really interesting. That means about 5% of the students actually reach their goal of being able to speak fluently and proficiently in a new language. So the first thing you want to do is, define your goal, where you want to end up. So a lot of people are studying English or learning other languages, but they're not reaching their goals. And they start studying a course just like all their other friends are doing, but then they end up getting frustrated and giving up. And we don't want that happening to you. Like I said, we have a lot of reasons that people come looking to us wanting to learn English. So the first thing we're going to look at in your first worksheet here, the Goal Clarification Guide, is a series of questions to help you decide what your objectives and goals are. Okay, so the first question, there's actually 10 questions that you need to ask yourself. Go through, answer those carefully, think about them, and when you're done, you can summarize them into one paragraph or a couple paragraphs that will help you understand what you're trying to accomplish and why you're wanting to learn the language. For example, some people want to learn English fluently, proficiently, to travel abroad, live in another country, and so they need to develop all of their skills and they need to learn and speak fluently. Others just want a basic grasp of the language, or they need to pass a test for their doctorate's or master's degree in a specific area like biology. And so if that's their goal, they don't need to do and study and develop all of the skills and ability that the first person who wants to travel and speak needs to develop. So they can focus specifically on their goals and accomplish that a lot faster. So obviously the first thing you need to do if you want to reach your goal as quickly and efficiently as possible is decide what your final destination is. And that's what these 10 questions are designed to do. Okay, so the first question, why do you want to learn a new language? And there's a space there for you to think about that, answer those. If you have a specific reason. And number 2, there's a series of answers there that you can check off. Those are some of the more common reasons that we've seen from our students why they want to learn English. Question number 3, how do you feel that English will improve your life? Question number 4, you're going to mark there in the different skills and abilities where you feel you currently are in your listening, speaking, reading, writing, vocabulary, fluency, proficiency, all that kind of good stuff. And then question number 5, same basic areas, just where you would like to end up, how fluent, proficient you want to become in the language. Okay? So if you want to reach an intermediate level of skill and that's okay with you, or do you want to reach that top level of mastery? So all of these things are going to influence the amount of time and effort that it's going to take you to reach your goal of learning English. Question number 6, what specific abilities do you sense you need to improve? Question number 7, how soon would you like to reach this goal? Some people come and say, hey David, I'm going to be traveling abroad in the next 3 months. So they're going to have to study a lot more intensely than someone who has a year to prepare. Question number 8, what benefits will you get from reaching your goal? Question number 9, how much time can you invest in your learning each day? Okay, if you want to travel abroad in 3 months, but you can only study 15 minutes a week, it's going to be kind of hard to reach your goal. Now, if you have 2, 3, 5, 8 hours a day to study, better yet, because the more time you invest in your learning, the faster you'll reach your goals, right? And then question number 10, finally, summarizing all of these answers into a single paragraph. So try to get that down as concise as you can, because that way you can look at it each day in your daily practice and remind yourself of what your goal is and what you're trying to accomplish. This is really effective in anything you do, really, in organizing, planning your day, because a lot of times when I have a lot of stuff to do, there's classes to plan for, things to do online, and there's just so many things going on, and then I look and remember, okay, this is what I'm trying to accomplish, this is my big goal, and then I can focus and invest my time specifically in those areas. And that's what this will help you do in your daily practice. Remember the plain English method, the first thing you're going to do, the P in plain stands for prepare. So each day you're going to prepare your mind, prepare yourself, prepare your area, and as you prepare your mind, you're going to review your goals and then write down the things that you need to do today that are going to help you accomplish that. So once you know what your objective is, you know where you're headed, then you need to go through and decide how you're going to get there. Create a plan to help you do that. You can make a plan in different ways. Most people just kind of sit down and say, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this to reach my goal, and that's great. But there's a way to do your planning that's a little more effective, that I like, that I've learned from a military officer in a course I took, and he called it the backward planning method, where basically he explained that the military generals, when they're planning an operation, they'll think, okay, what's the last thing we need to do for this mission to be successful? And that could be, say, the rescue of some hostages, or, taking over a certain city. And then once they know what that goal is, and they think, okay, what do we need to do right before this? And then they write that down. And then, okay, what do we need to do right before this? And they write that down. And they just keep doing that all the way back until they come to where they currently are. And then they've got a whole list laid out of exactly what they need to do step by step until they reach that goal and accomplish the mission successfully. Another way that I've heard this explained is kind of like looking at a small ant at the bottom of a tree. And the ant's looking up, let's say there's some fruit way off on a branch at the far end of the tree. So the ant's going to have to try to climb, navigate, and each fork it comes to in the branch, it has to try to figure out which way to go. And if it takes the wrong branch, it'll end up in the wrong place, right? However, if the ant's already up there where it wants to be, coming down is very easy because every time it comes to a fork, it just keeps following the forks all the way back down to the bottom of the trunk of the tree. So if you can see what your final objective is and then plan backwards from that in reverse, you'll be able to see what you need to do much more successfully. Okay? So there's several different areas that you can plan create your plan in, all right? And I'm just going to name off some of them here. You can actually see these on the Creating the Perfect Plan post here on the site. But you can think about time, okay? For example, linguists say that for you to learn a new language, it depends obviously what language you already speak, what your mother tongue is, and what language you're trying to learn, and how close they are, how similar. So it will vary, but let's say on average, that for the average language student, it would take them about 260 hours of contact time to reach a basic level of conversation. Okay, and then they say that for you to reach an intermediate level, you need about 600 hours of contact time, and then for an advanced level, 1,200 hours of contact time. Let's just say that you want to reach a basic level of English conversationally. That's okay with you. So let's say you need 260 hours of contact time with the language. So if you can study, say, 2 hours a week, and you're studying in an English course where there's, say, 40 hours in a semester, then that would take you what? Approximately 4 to 5 semesters to reach your goal, about 2.5 years. However, if you can study 2 hours every day, then you'll be able to reach your goal a whole lot faster. You could reach your goal in 120 days, say 3 months or whatever. If you study 8 hours a day, then you could reach that in about 30 days. So it's just a matter of time, okay? Break your study time down into chunks of time that you can study. How much time can you invest? Okay, every day I'm going to try to study 15 minutes, or every day I'm going to try to study 2 hours or 8 hours or whatever. Another way to break your goals down would be by vocabulary. Okay, let's say your goal is to learn the 1,000 most common words in English. So let's say that you're going to study, 300 words a month. That means you need to study about 80 words a week, which means that you would need to study about 10, 11 words per day. You could also study grammar, focus on specific grammar structures, sentence structures, verb tenses, and learning each of those. You could learn idiomatic expressions, which kind of goes with vocabulary, I guess. Improving your pronunciation, focusing on specific pronunciation sounds that give you difficulty, developing your reading skills, how many pages you're going to read in a book, which would also help you with your vocabulary. Improving your listening skills. Okay, I'm going to listen to, podcasts every day in English. Or practicing your written English. Or even spoken English. I'm going to get out and talk with 5 people every day. Or I'm going to speak in English for 30 minutes straight. Or whatever your top goals are. Okay, but those are different kinds of goals that you can set for yourself as you're creating your plan. Alright, so once you've done that, then you can actually go through, take your goal setting guide, and in your goal setting guide, which you can download and print off as well, you can actually set your long, mid, and short-term goals. Now, why is this important? Well, think of it this way. Let's say that you're taking a long journey, and let's say you're on a hike. Okay? And there's a mountain way off in the distance. It's really far, you can see it, and you're walking towards it, but it's really distant, and you walk for a while, and you look, and the mountain's still way off in the distance, and you know it's going to take you a long time to get there, and you start feeling kind of frustrated, and the sun's hot, and so you feel like giving up, right? So instead of looking at the mountain, you could set a shorter goal. Okay? You see a tree off in the distance, say several hundred yards away. So you say, okay, instead of focusing on the mountain, I'm going to focus on the tree. and you walk towards the tree, and it takes you several minutes, but eventually you reach the tree. So, okay, you say, okay, I measured my progress, I know I've reached the tree, and then what's the next goal that I can walk towards? Another tree, a post, something else off in the distance, a stream. So as you set smaller goals for yourself, you can actually see your progress, because in a short amount of time you can reach that next goal that you set. And then you just keep setting smaller goals until the mountain you're walking towards off in the distance begins to approach and appear much closer. I've been jogging recently. My goal is to jog 5 kilometers straight. And so I've been working towards that. A lot of times, when I'm really tired and out of breath and I feel like stopping, then I stop and think, and I don't stop, but I just think to myself, okay, I'm going to run at least until I get to that tree up in the distance, or there's some people walking towards you. I'm going to run until I reach those people. And then if I still feel like stopping, I'll stop. And then I run towards them, and when I get there, then I think, okay, I'm going to try to run a little bit farther. And so that way I'm not thinking about the whole distance that I have to run when I feel like giving up. So that's what this will do for you when you're learning English. A lot of times you'll learn a bunch of words, you'll study, hours, spend several hours studying, and you'll look and think, what am I learning? I don't see progress. I've been studying for 2 weeks and I still can't talk English, and so you feel like giving up. So by setting smaller goals for yourself, a short-term goal, a mid-term goal, and a long-term goal, you work towards your short-term goals until you hit a mid-term goal. Then you set another mid-term goal and several short-term goals, and you work towards those until you hit them. And you just keep doing that until you reach your final objective. Okay? So that's what we want you to do here. So each of these pages in your goal setting guide is going to allow you to write down what your goals are. Okay, what's your long-term goal? What's your mid-term goal? What's your short-term goal? And like we mentioned here, with the vocabulary words, for example, let's say you want to learn the 1,000 most common words in English. So you get the list of 1,000 most common words, which make up a large portion of what we use in our day-to-day English, and you focus on learning those first. Okay, then you learn, say, the 2,000 most common words, and then the 5,000 most common words, and you keep working towards those kind of goals until you are able to express yourself the way you want to in English. Okay, so if you want to break those down smaller, let's say your goal is to learn 10,000 words in English. So your midterm goal might be to learn 1,000 words in English, and then your short-term goal would be to learn 100 words in English. So you'd work towards learning those 100 words, then another 100, then another 100, until you reach the 1,000 most common words, and then you'd set a new goal to learn another 1,000 words, and you just keep doing that process, cycling through it until you hit your goals. I've been doing this for a little while. I use a website called Simpleology.com, not just for language learning, but anything you want to do in life. Simpleology is great because it allows you to do this process. It has a nice little to-do list. Best part, it's free, so you can keep track of your goals, your short, mid, and long-term goals, and also each day review those and then write out what you're going to do to make that happen, what you're going to do to reach your next short-term goal. So I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and what I've noticed that's best for me is because of my short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals are too big. I used to set my long-term goals as like yearly goals, and my mid-term goals as 6 months goals, and like my short-term goals is 3-month goals, but that was kind of long for me, and I'd get frustrated and feel like giving up on them. So what I found is that if I set my mid-term goals for about a month, and my short-term goals for about a week, then that's really great for me, because then each day during the week I work towards hitting those short-term goals, and then I can set a new short-term goal and just keep doing that until I hit my monthly goal, and then just go back through and just keep setting those new goals. So that kind of motivates you to see the progress. Okay, this week I was able to do this month I was able to do this, and then by the end of the year you're going to end up being able to do a lot, just because you're staying focused on the short-term goals. So by staying focused on the short-term goals, you'll be a lot more successful in the long run than trying to set one big goal and run towards it. Like saying, okay, I want to learn English, and then just boom, just doing random things, whatever you feel like doing. But when you have smaller goals, okay, every day you know what to do. By the end of the week, you can see, okay, I've done this. By the end of the month, hey, look, I've done all this. Then that will keep you motivated, help you stay on track, and actually observe your progress. So that's pretty much it. I hope that these worksheets help you define what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish, why you want to learn the language. So that way, once you do that, you can create a plan that's going to help you walk in a straight line towards that goal. Because what most people end up doing is, they start off here and they want to end up here, and then they kind of randomly wander around and they do all kinds of things, and then eventually, if ever, hit their goal. When hey, I'm here, this is where I want to go, and then you can go straight towards it. That's kind of the idea. Now, obviously, like we said, just creating a plan is good, but if you just create the plan and then set it aside and don't do the stuff you need to do, then obviously you aren't going to learn the language. That's where your daily praxis is going to come in, the plain English method, doing the things that you need to do to make your goals happen. But before you can do your daily praxis, then you need to know where you want to end up. So that's why both parts of the formula work together so well. And if you can create your plan, stick to it, and do your daily praxis, study, learn, practice the language every day, you will be successful, whatever your goals are. For most people, that's speaking English, being able to speak in English fluently and proficiently. And that's what we're here to help you do, if that's your goal. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this video. If you haven't seen the previous one on how to learn English, you can go watch that one. Read the posts on the blog, and also download the worksheets and work through them. There's several other worksheets as well for you, like free software that you can use that you probably haven't even thought about using to help you learn your English. Also, a resource guide with a whole bunch of links. Right now there's currently about 60 there. Great resource links to help you learn and practice and improve your English skills online. And also, if you'd like, join us at vip.excelenglish.com. We have all kinds of resources that we've created for our students, and we put those up online, made those available for people who don't live near us and don't study here at the school, but those are available for you as well, just like what we use with our students. So that's pretty much it. God bless y'all. Y'all have a great day, and bye-bye.